Okay, friends, bat signal received on the long float struggles. This has been my fastest, most interactive post so far, so it sounds like a lot of you are in the same boat. Message received. So gather around, friends. Let's talk about ladderback jacquard. Ladderback jacquard is a great way to add in additional colors where maybe it's not quite so convenient to add them. You can see here in my example of woolen pine stowaway where I threw in some additional extra colors to really give the colorwork some pop, but it really resulted in some really long floats. So this is the inside of the pocket, and right here is the ladderback jacquard. You create a ladder to hold your very long floats close to the inside of the fabric so that, for example, this was a pocket. When you put your hands in the pocket, your hands aren't getting all tangled up in the long floats. And if you really don't want to do this method, at least consider it for the inside of your sleeves. So you can see here, this is Woolen Pine's picture of my stowaway that I knit for them. And this is the inside of the colorwork of that sleeves. And you can see some tiny little ladders there. They look like little stockinette stitches. It's really worth it for a garment that you spend so much time on. I mean, think of how long Sleeve Island feels, and you do all that work only to snag it. Ladderback jacquard is a great technique to put into your sleeve color work. Okay, so how do you do it? I am going to break it down into 3 elements. First, you make the first roll, and that is how many stitches is your breaking point at which it's time to put in a ladderback jacquard stitch. We'll call it a ladder stitch. And whatever that rule is, say greater than 4 stitches, 5 stitches, whatever you're comfortable with, use that routinely throughout the sweater so that you have consistency in how this looks in the color work. Number 2, there are 2 rules that you should always follow when you do your ladder stitch. 1, it should always be a purl. And 2, you should always move all of your non-float yarn to the front of your work and do your ladder stitch in the back. And I'll show you what that looks like. 3, there's just 3 steps to remember of ladderback jacquard, and I'll show you now. Okay, for my demonstration, I'm showing you the Kettle Cove vest. And in this pattern, the longest float section that I have are these 6 stitches here. And you can see all these sections. It's not blocked, so it is a little lumpy, but after it's blocked, it'll look gorgeous. But you will notice that in each of these 6-stitch float sections, my ladder is invisible. And this is what it looks like on the inside. You can see my ladder here. It looks kind of loose because I haven't blocked it. Once you block, it kind of like tightens up a bit. Okay. 3 steps to ladderback jacquard. 1 is how to start your ladder. 2 is how to continue your ladder. And then 3, how to end your ladder. And I will walk you through each of these. First, for step 1, which is starting your ladder, I'm beginning the first 6-stitch float section. So what you do is when you get to the middle of what your float stitch count would be, so this is 6 stitches, so I've done 3 stitches and now it's time to start my ladder. You bring all your working yarn to the front and out of the way, and then you start your ladder. You can start your ladder by lifting up, and let me zoom in here, lifting up that bar between the last row stitches and twisting and putting a stitch in there. But for me, that ends up being, I don't know, kind of messy. Another option that you can do is just a backwards cast on loop to start. Or what I've been doing for this particular piece is there's a float, a 4-stitch float on the back here. I'm going to use that. And that'll even kind of tighten up that float just a little bit. Doesn't make it tight, but it makes it tidier. Okay. Working yarn to the front. That rule is being followed. And then once you pick up however you're going to start it, you purl your ladder stitch. Always purl. Reason being is that bump that you make from that purl here pushes back from the piece. And so it helps it kind of float a bit. All right. Ladder stitch is now been started. And then this stitch is just going to go for a ride around your needles until you come back around and either continue another ladder stitch or end the ladder. So let's go to rule number 2. Okay. So the second thing to know is how to continue your ladder if you're going to do the ladder for multiple rows. So I've come back around and I'm about to come up to my ladder stitch. And once you get to that ladder stitch, Remember that rule, bring all working yarn to the front, then you can start working with your ladder stitch. And just purl it. Always purl your ladder stitch, again, so that bump can push your ladder to the back of the piece. And then continue on. Move your working yarn back, pushes that ladder to the back, and then continue on. And then we'll come back around and I will show you the third step, and that's how to end your ladder. Okay. Come back around, and now it's time to end my ladder. I don't need to do long floats anymore, so when I get to that ladder stitch, all you do is just knit it together with a stitch just to the left of it. Knit it together. I like to push it off the cliff and then complete my stitch, and then your ladder just disappears to the back. And that's it. So that concludes my tutorial on ladderback jacquard. Hopefully it is some help for those of you that struggle with long floats and having lovely looking color work. It's really worth it to try it out. It may seem slow at first, but you will get into a rhythm of it. Definitely try it out whenever you're swatching to see if it's something that you want to do. And happy knitting. Bye.